Nobody starts at the finish line. You have to start somewhere. In order for you to get to where you're going, to meet that destination, you can't think that you're going to get there instantly. Welcome to another episode of the Mr. Mindful Minute podcast, where we touch on different things, on different areas of life, on how we could go from a nothing place to a something place. And today we are touching on isolation. And we got a special guest with us, Mr. Kevin Wayne Joseph.
What up?
And, I just want to thank you for joining us, jumping in on this, really touching on how isolation is affecting us, especially with this COVID-19. We almost at the end of 2020, and we see it's a lot of places that opened up, and then now a lot of places are shutting back down, especially over near where I'm at in Philly. A lot of places then got shut down again. So we really about to just dive right on in on how isolation not only can harm us, but what are some of the positive sides to isolation on how we can actually get to a something place out of this nothing place. So, so just touch on one thing right now. What does isolation actually mean?
All right. So first and foremost, let's set the stage. Isolation, like you said earlier, can be looked at as a gift or a curse. And our perspective is what will either hold us, put us in a deeper hole, hold us where we are, or propel us to the next level. So I prefer to look at isolation as a gift. And this is why. Isolation gives you a chance to think, right? It gives you a chance to visualize. It gives you a chance to imagine. It gives you a chance to slow down. Really, really deep dive into what's going on in your life, where you want to be. So many people would have goals. They tell their friends, and then a couple months pass by, they forget, and their friends say, "Hey, remember this? What happened to that?" Never had a chance to slow down and even reconnect on what's going on. So isolation can be a curse, but it can be a very well needed gift that allows us to come back to ourselves, get back on track, and to move forward into the right direction.
All right, and see, I'm glad you said that, because you already expressed that if it's a gift or it's a curse, a lot of times it's up to us what that outlook and will actually be. So you're saying that we have a choice on how we actually make isolation be applied to us in our life. Is that what you're telling me?
Exactly. Okay. So I got a story. I have a story. Okay. So I remember I was in 7th grade. I had a cousin. He played basketball and he was real good at it, right? So he ended up getting accepted into this college in Iowa. And I never forget driving. My parents left with his mom and his parents to go and drive him up there. So they get up there, they come back home, and I asked my dad, like, "Yo, what was it like? Like, I never been to Iowa. What was that like?" He said, "It's like Louisiana, just cold. There's a lot of country going on. There's a lot of nothing going on." So I remember hearing him talk one day with my aunt about the experience that my cousin was having playing basketball at the school. And he came back and he said, my cousin, I don't want to drop his name, but my cousin, let's just call him T. My cousin T, he has a 3.8 GPA on the basketball team. Now, if I didn't play college basketball, but one of my friends did. One of my real close friends, V, he did. And that 5 a.m. wake up is nothing to play with, especially on top of your classes, right? So going back to the 3.8 GPA, he said he got a 3.8 GPA, and it's because he had nothing else to do. Being outside of your comfort zone, being in a place that is literally nothing like, as far as family, as far as places that are familiar, nothing familiar with yourself. He was forced into isolation. You go out and meet people, and basically they're meeting you because you're on the basketball team. It's not a quick, genuine interest. It's, hey, you're on the team. Let's see who you are. and because of that, he was put in a position where he was forced to be isolated, right? And the gift was his perspective. He was allowed to study more, not having all your friends and you on a basketball team, let's go out, let's get drinks, let's do this, let's do that. He was able to go out and study more and had the highest GPA on the team. And when we asked him what was going on, like how was he able to achieve that, he said, there is nothing else to do. And we're in a time right now with COVID when there is nothing else to do. Yeah. And it is our perspective on how we look at this situation.
Wow. Now see, that's crazy because, we'll look at things that's happening in our life, and the first thing that we might say initially is, I don't know what I'm about to do. I can't do nothing. And
True.
So we automatically restrain ourselves with that mindset. We already put that confines on ourselves and said, man, I guess I can't do nothing because, I can't do the stuff that I'm normally used to doing. So like your cousin is saying, he made that choice and decision to say, well, I can't do the stuff that I normally do. I'm going to use this opportunity. And you said it. I'm going to use this as an opportunity for me to actually do something different in a better way.
Right.
So,
exactly.
like you said, perspective is key with how we viewing this whole isolation thing, especially with this whole COVID. It's up to us. Look, I legit no lie. I know so many people that was like, oh man, I need to get back in shape. I need to do this. I need to do that, right?
Yeah.
But we always say we don't have time for it. If I just had time, if I only had time. But the crazy thing about it is the COVID actually gave us the time that we need because now we home. So it's our excuse to not doing it.
Yeah.
Because
go
ahead.
Oh, okay. So my main thing is with anything that you're not doing is not important enough. That's simply it is not important enough, because if it is, no matter what's going on in your life, you will make time for it. And also one of the things I want to touch on is COVID, the way COVID was presented to the entire world as being a negative thing, right? So our mindsets are already programmed with a lot of negativity coming into it. Can you imagine the world leaders of media and our leaders of the countries? They would all say, hey, we have something going on. It's a real serious situation, but this will give us a chance to reconnect with your family. This will give us a chance to work on your dreams, work on your goals, to work on your ideas. But that was not something that happened. The main thing that happened is you go outside and you're going to perish, basically. I ain't want to get too far like but you're going to perish. So it was up to us, from the get-go, everything was, if you do not isolate, you will end up in a bad situation. And that programming really, really hurt a lot of people as far as trying to even be any kind of creative in what's going on.
Wow. And like you said, perspective is everything. And so if we're fed, view this as something negative, then guess what? That is what we're going to ingest it as that. And it's not until we say, I'm going to view this as something positive. And obviously you're not telling anybody, hey, go out and still do whatever.
Right.
And not the proper precautionary measures. No, it's saying, look at how we can actually take what's being presented to us. And this is giving us an opportunity to hit that reset button.
Right.
We can actually put a reset on our lives or the things that we was doing on what was important or what wasn't important. And now we actually have the opportunity to start doing it. Look, I can attest to this myself. 2020, COVID-19 actually created opportunities for me to do some of the stuff that I never would have did. I would have never did some of the things that I'm doing now. I actually started my company in 2020.
Yes.
I started my business in 2020. Like, so it's a choice, it's a mindset, like you saying, so us just help people to understand why it's so important that we need to actually view it in the way that you're telling us to view it.
Okay, so number one, and it may not even be a series after this, but the main thing is this is your life. No one, and I mean absolutely no one, is going to walk the exact same path that you walked. You, as far as we know for sure, we have this one life to live, the one we presently in. We can't worry about tomorrow. We can't worry about what happened in the past because we can't do anything about it, but the time we're currently in. So being the new wave of saying you're a positive person, truly being a positive person will have you in a situation like COVID. We'll have you in a situation like COVID, and you look at all the great things it has done for you. So you were able to sit down and start your business. I look at it like, bruh, I am saving so much more money now. Like, man, like my savings has went up exponentially. And I'm serious. It has went up exponentially. And that's all because I had a plan. I'm actually able to do it now. I don't have to rip and run everywhere because we on lockdown. The whole country has slowed down in a sense. And it allows us to get back to what we really, really want. You know, and even in the midst of this pandemic, there is opportunity. And no one can say there isn't an opportunity because, as you can see, when the country went on lockdown, stocks and the stock market shot up. You know, Amazon shot up, Apple shot up, Facebook shot up, Tesla shot up. So just because the opportunities didn't affect you directly does not mean they're not there. You can still get in the game, you know, and opportunities are always around us, always. And it doesn't matter if it's COVID. It doesn't matter if we're in the greatest economic boom of our lives, of the world has ever seen. You will find opportunities as long as you're looking for them. So having your mind right, having that right perspective, hey, okay, this is a little detour, but it doesn't matter how we get there as long as we get there. So, I got a quick story, right? Short, simple story. I was going to the restroom at work, right? And there's a specific stall I go into because it's the biggest one. Like, I'm being 100% honest, it's the biggest one. And I went into there and somebody was in there. So I immediately turned around and went to the next one. As I'm walking down the stairs, I see one of my coworkers walking into the office, but they didn't have their badge. And so as I'm walking towards the bathroom, I hear a like they're running to try to catch me to get into the office. So I hear it and I peep out. And she was like, "Oh, can you let me in?" I was like, "No problem." Went hit the buzzer, open the door for her, let her get in. And I realized to myself, had that person had that small inconvenience not been there, she would have been locked out the office. So sometimes your detour will allow you to help someone else and still get to your destination.
Mm.
So my small inconvenience that I was like, "Oh, I need to hurry up and get this done." My small inconvenience actually opened the door for someone else, literally, literally and figuratively. So that perspective of, "Oh man, somebody in my way." No, they're helping you. Look at it that way. They are helping you. They're helping you to find a new way. Think differently. Push aside. You know what I'm saying? Like it's man, it's so much that isolation can allow you to get into, you know. Oh, there's also a bad side too.
Oh man, look, there's also a bad side to it. But before we get into that bad side, like, understand that you were saying something to me about forced isolation, because right now the isolation that we're in is something that's forced onto us. We didn't say, "Oh well, we agreed to this." We had no choice. So what's the difference between isolation of no choice and then isolation where you're choosing to be into isolation? Because you said it, your cousin, he ain't had no choice but to be in that isolated situation because he was in an environment that he had no control over. And so likewise with us, we're in an environment we had no control over. So what about a forced isolation? How can we view that?
Okay, so one of the things, I believe it was a quote Kobe Bryant said. I remember this so clearly. Control what you can. Control what you can. Don't worry about all the other things. They'll take care of themselves. So the way I look at it, no matter what anyone believes of how COVID came about, it's here, right? And it's affecting everyone. Some people, I believe right now in California, after 10 p.m., all non-essential businesses has to close again. You know, not going outside without your mask on or being too close to people. That is something that we didn't necessarily elect. We didn't want that to come on in here and disrupt all of our lives, but it's here. Now, on the other hand, self-isolation, which is probably, self-isolation is greater than forced isolation. This is why. When you self-isolate yourself, you're already thinking about your next moves. You're already in ahead of the game as far as like what you want to do. So me, personal experience with this, when I was writing my book, when I became an author, it was difficult to try to write with the computer in front of me and my phone. Because I would constantly pick, if I didn't have an idea within the next 10 seconds, I would pick my phone up, get on social media, watch YouTube videos, find a movie, watch Netflix, and I would just, I get to the book whenever I get to it. But see, it got to a point where I cut the phone off. And this is at the time when I had my Android. So literally, this is what I would do. I would take the back of the phone off, take the battery out, and toss the phone. That was me in my head saying I'm the boss. Okay. The phone has no power, right? So I would take the battery out, toss the phone, and then I would sit there and literally just move my fingers like this with nothing in mind yet. I would just do this. And what ended up happening was, while I was doing that, I would read what I had already written, and then ideas just rush in. And the ideas had always been there. They have always been there, but I was distracted. Self-isolations allow you to get rid of those distractions and focus. A lot of people aren't getting to their dreams because they just can't focus. And even with everything going around with COVID, with the problems with the election and how that's being perceived, people are not focusing on what that is that they need. A lot of times we want other people to take care of things for us. We want the government to fix the financial situations that a lot of people are going through. But it comes to a point where you have to take responsibility for yourself. You focus, where you want to go, because there is room for you. In a very saturated market. I heard this guy say, he said, man, do you think there's in real estate? He said, you think there are too many house flippers and too many wholesalers, too many real estate agents? And he said, there's always room for one more. So there's always room for one more millionaire. There's always room for one more game changer. There's always room for someone to live their dreams.
Listen, that is an excellent point right there. Self-isolation, you said it at the beginning. Mm-hmm. You are doing this. You have a goal in mind. It's with a purpose. So now you are going into this so you can actually get to whatever next level that is for you. So you're putting yourself in this position to eliminate all distractions. You're creating an environment for yourself for you to be intentional. Mm-hmm. So now by doing that, if you don't actually start doing something, the only person you can blame is you.
It's you.
Ain't nobody else to blame for this.
Because, it's you.
I look at it the same way as if a person that's saying, oh man, I'm about to go on this fast. Mm-hmm. And so you like, all right, you're going on this fast, but for what? What are you doing it for? Mm-hmm. You're going on this fast for a reason. And it's not just because, I don't got no, because you don't call it a fast when you like, man, I ain't had no money. I couldn't buy it to eat.
Right.
That ain't no fast. You heard it. Right. Right?
Exactly.
So when you call it a fast, you like, no, I'm abstaining from this because it has a purpose. So, now self-isolation, it has a purpose, and it's for you to have some type of growth on the other side of it. Mm-hmm. And so like you were saying, for yourself, you actually physically did something and said, all right, this is why I'm doing it, so you could get your book. And that's a perfect segue into the next thing. Like, what is your book about? So
the law is about how the Bible is a law book, right? It's not a religious book. It's a law book about success. It's a law book about numbers. It's a law book about keys to living a successful life. And one of the things that inspired me, I was about to say inspired me. One of the things that inspired me was being in college. You get tested a lot, like around your faith and stuff. And I met people that grew up the religious way. I'm gonna say that much. They grew up the religious way, the way that they tell you that God is good all the time and all of this, but you still go through so much struggles and you waiting on God to save you from them, right? And so there's another side where we talk about the kingdom, where you have dominion and control over situations. You always have an answer to any problem you go into, right? And the book came about, I was sitting there with one of my friends who was talking about it, and she was just saying some things that she didn't agree with. And I decided to write the book about being successful, right? So the very first chapter, let's go on the very first chapter, law of obedience. You know, if we are obedient to the laws that govern our bodies, we can have healthy bodies. But if we take it upon ourselves to eat all the junk food, never exercise, watch as much TV as possible, consume the worst social media, our body is going to be a product of that. And and if we get sick, we can't say, why is this happening to me? You ate all that pork. You did not exercise. You drank all those sodas, cold drinks, or pop, whatever you call it. You drank all of those, and now you're wondering why your body is shutting down, why it's slowing down, because you didn't obey the laws of your body. And that goes for anything. The laws of studying, the laws of relationships, how you can get along with people, the laws of governing what you allow to come into your life through television, through relationships, through what you read, through what the music you're listening to. All those are laws. And one of the biggest things that I use is, like, I use gravity, right? No matter where you are in this world, if you jump off of a building, you will go down. It may take you longer on some buildings than others, but you will hit the ground. Eventually, you will hit the ground. Yeah. And so that's how laws work. No matter where you are, they are immutable. You cannot change them. No matter how you feel about it, it works, and it's always going to be true to what it is. And so having a book that allows you to adhere to principle, whereas you get in any situation, if you apply principle, you'll come out of it. You will come out of it.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Now, it's interesting that you're saying, the stuff that we listen to, the things that we watch, right? The things that we're allowing in. And it's so crazy because I'm going to say 90% of the time, we are isolated when we're doing this stuff.
Yep. Yep.
We are isolated. Look, when we watching a movie, guess what? We're isolated. When we listen to music, guess what? We are isolated.
Yes.
We got our headphones in. We zoned out, so to say. Mm. We're putting ourselves in a certain state of mind. We are isolating ourselves, and we are actually preparing ourselves for what we are about to digest, what we are about to let into our, and as we say, our environment, which is our body. Mm-hmm. And so if we choose to allow these different things in this isolated space, we mentally are preparing for what we're about to get.
Yes.
We already know.
Yes.
Like if I know that I'm about to go watch an action-packed movie, I'm putting myself in a mental space. I'm waiting for it. For them to come out, guns blazing, flying,
yes.
Cars driving fast. I'm waiting for that. I already isolated my mind for a certain conditioning.
Exactly.
So if we don't isolate ourselves in a way for positivity, condition our minds to say, this is what I'm prepared to happen and what I want to receive out of it. Because at the end of the day, listen, you can get a steak and say, look, a lot of this stuff that's in this steak is not good for me, but I'm just going to isolate all the stuff that is good, and I'm going to just take that out.
Yeah.
I'm going to just take out the stuff that's good that I want, that I need, and I'm going to leave the rest.
Yeah.
And so when we self-isolate, we do the same thing. We preparing ourselves to say, I'm about to get into a certain environment where I'm only taking out, extracting the things that I need. And so the same thing that you're saying with your book, The Law, we actually have to implement these principles.
Yeah.
So we can actually extract the things that we need, because obviously we are in a world, right, where everything ain't good, everything ain't positive, everything ain't sweet, but we know how to actually say, let me take out what I need and then get rid of the rest of it. I tell people this all the time. There's nothing, unless you making them healthy, there's nothing healthy about pancakes. Look, no shit, no shade to nobody that eat pancakes, right?
Yeah.
But understand, when you look on the side of that box, of that, we ain't even gonna get into what kind of pancakes it is, but when you look on the side of that box, it'll say calcium, magnesium, zinc. It'll tell you all the stuff that they put in there. And so when we ingest it, when our bodies start to consume it, our bodies say, I'm gonna take out what I need and get rid of the rest.
Yes.
And so that's what you're saying what your book actually does. Your book actually helps us to take what we need.
Yes.
So, and then get rid of the rest.
Yes.
Okay, I loved it. I love it. So what's some of the steps that a person can take in order to view isolation on a positive side? Because we know that when we talk about being isolated, it's usually with that negative notation. So what's some of the positive steps that somebody can take on isolation, on viewing it on a positive note?
Number one is become self-aware. Understand that if you're not where you want to be, that you know that you are not where you want to be. And the next would be to make a decision. You have to make a decision to change your life. If you never make a decision, nothing will change. Decision making and holding on to those decisions is like the thing that gets you from A to B. As much as we think about it, as much as ideas come to us, if we never decide to act on those ideas, they don't mean anything, right? The next thing would be to check your associations, not just the people around you, but the things you look into, the things you consume, the music, the videos, the social media. What type of pages are you on? Are you just watching memes all day? And change that. Don't just give it up. Exchange it. Exchange it for something positive. Exchange it for something that's going to actually help your dreams, not something that's just going to entertain you. I know there's this verse that we talked about. If you love luxuries, you can end up poor, because is a lot of times people think luxury is before the work. Luxuries come after the work. You have to love the work in order to get to the luxuries, right? So yeah. So most people think this time of isolation is a time to be lazy, to enjoy the luxuries of not working.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I say that just about every Saturday, if not every Saturday, just about every Saturday, about don't lay in bed, don't just lounge around, because you're losing that time that you could be using to change your life. Your situation is not what it could be, but we tend to try to entertain ourselves to ease that pain. And so after you've taken in what your associations and the things you listen to, commit to being better. Like, I don't care if it's 10 minutes a day that you read something positive that's going to help you. I don't care if it's you drinking more water. It's literally that one extra step of doing something intentional that's going to get us to that next level, whatever that is for us. And keeping in mind that riches is whatever it is that we want. It doesn't mean money. It's whatever it is that we value. Those are riches, right? So after you do all those, action. You got to move. You got to put things into play. It's good to hear things, but you got to start acting. Wisdom is how does it go? I got this verse that I always, it's not even a verse, it's a saying. Knowledge is information. Understanding is comprehension. Wisdom is application.
Mm.
You have to apply the things that you're learning. You have to apply the new things that you're putting in your mind to actually see change in your life. Because as much as we talk about doing this, doing that, if you don't see any results, you're going to get discouraged. You're going to get discouraged. But that's where discipline and commitment comes in, because it'll help you to keep going. It'll help you to keep going. And soon as you persevere, soon as you persist through those dark times in your life, it's like the clouds open up.
Wow.
The sun is shining bright on the other side. And it's difficult. It's difficult because it's almost feel like when you're trying to change your life, it feels like you're being tortured. I have a great deal of respect for people that are saying they're trying to change their life. I would not laugh at someone that's saying they're trying to change their life, because I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is. But man, once you get to that other side, sunshines and rainbows. It's great over there. It's great.
You know, and you know, that's so true. I agree with you 100%. And it reminds me to something that I actually read in a book. Stephen Covey, you know, said it. To know and not to do is to not know.
Yeah.
You know, that's
100%.
so crazy. And, you know, really making it, like you said, making the application can be mental torture. And the crazy thing about it is, you know, science shows the same brain chemistry that go off in your mind when you're trying to change a habit or a thought pattern is the same brain chemistry that go off in your mind when you're being physically tortured. So your body can't tell the difference. Your mind can't tell the difference if you're getting physically tortured when you're just trying to mentally change a habit.
Yeah.
And so when we're trying to do this, this is why we actually would need to do self-isolation so we can self-assess and see where we are. You know, I heard something once that said, when do you want to know that you got a hole in the boat? At the dock or when you're out in the middle of the ocean?
Right.
And so us doing that self-isolation, we actually patching up the holes that's on the dock right now. Because when we get out in the middle of the ocean, we get into a situation, hence COVID-19.
Yeah.
We get into a situation and we didn't know that we had the issues that we actually had. Or how about we knew that we had these problems, but we didn't take the time out to actually work on it. And so now COVID-19 has actually created an opportunity for a lot of us to hit that restart button and start making the adjustments, start fixing on the things that we need to fix, start working and patching on the boat. We back at the dock again.
Yeah.
Because we were out in the middle of the ocean with the hole in the boat and we were sinking, but nobody knew because we were still throwing the water out the boat. So now with the COVID-19, we back at the dock and we can, I know it's a hole right here. Let's start patching this up now. I have an opportunity. And so now it creates so many things. And again, we already said it. It starts with our perception. We have to choose and decide how we are going to allow this to affect us. Are we going to allow this to affect us in a negative way? Or are we going to say, what can I do about this?
Right.
Ownership. What can I do on my side? Oh, okay, the things that I have no control over and there's nothing that I can do, ain't nothing going to change about that. But I can change me.
Yeah.
Man, I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, so let everybody know where they can find you at, man. This was amazing. Thank you. You know,
thank you for bringing me on.
It, man.
For real. Appreciate you. So you can find me on Instagram, Kevin Wayne Joseph. I know I have 3 first names, but that is what it is, Kevin Wayne Joseph. And Facebook, Kevin Joseph, LinkedIn, same thing, same name. I'm starting to get more onto LinkedIn for more, professional connections, this and that. But I'm posting every single day on my Instagram. Every weekday, I will say that much. Every weekday, I am posting something something positive, something to help us move forward, something to help us think differently. You could find my book on Amazon. You would just have to search The Law, Kevin Wayne Joseph, and it will come up first on the list. It only sells right now for $10, man. $10 to change your life. I felt like Jay-Z when he said, I'm trying to give you $1 million worth of game for $9.99. And this is something that's gonna be with you forever. Principles never change. No matter how the world looks, no matter what goes on, principles will never change. And that is something I believe that each and every person should get to an understanding of. No matter what situation you're in, that those principles that you learn, that you govern yourself by, will never change.
Look, thank you, man. Listen, can't wait to get an opportunity. I'm gonna go and get your book. I haven't read it. I'm gonna go and get your book. Listen.
Oh yeah.
Change your life for $9.99.
$9.99.
So,
that's it.
Again, I appreciate you for having us, and being on here, touching on isolation, how we can actually view it on a positive side. And look, y'all continue to remember, you are great. Go be great, because greatness is within you. And this is Mr. Mindful Minute Podcast.
You're in control of how you feel. You're in control. You are the determining factor of your feelings. No one else can control how you feel. Remember, you're in control of how you feel. So control your feelings.